Healing the inner child. Why do we do this? Why do we need to do this? What benefit is it to us as adults to do that, essentially? Well, this is a question that somebody asked me recently, and I thought it would make a good topic for a video, because it's not something that we all want to do, but it's something that we've all kind of got to do in one way or another in order to be whole and in order to be strong, independent, self-actualized, sovereign beings. So let's talk about inner child healing and the importance of it. Let's get into it. Alright, if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I'm Sarah, that divination witch. I hope you stick around. This channel is a safe space and community. If you want to join, hit subscribe. Everyone is free to share. We can all have differences of opinion, but I don't tolerate any BS. So if you like that, join us. And if you want to support the channel further, all of my links are below. I've got a website, I've got an Etsy, I've got Patreon, all sorts going on, all below. Thank you if you do check it out. Thanks. So whether you like it or not, or want to admit it or not, we've all got an inner child that is still within us. When we are children, we are being shaped. It's nature versus nurture, so our environment can really impact us and our mental health. Some mental health conditions are developed in childhood. Some that are serious, some that are not so serious, and not just mental health conditions, but our personality, who we are, what we stand for. It can all be molded. Our brains are like Play-Doh, are malleable and easily manipulated and formed into whatever somebody may deem fit, if they wanted to be nasty like that, But for the average person, we tend to pick up on the behaviours of our parents, of our environment, and that can be good and bad. It's all very nuanced and personal. There are people who go through deep-rooted traumas and deep things that can impact them. And there are people who might just be living an average life. Maybe they haven't had deep traumas, but they might have insecurities that come up because they were bullied at school, or something their parents once said, or whatever. There might be something that their parents were insecure about. I know. See, this is what sometimes is classed as generational trauma. But I know there's certain insecurities I've inherited from my parents. It happens to us all. Whether you want to admit it or not, it does. Because there are some people out there who don't like to admit it. And I feel like that's a wound within itself. Those who get on the defensive, who call people immature for exploring this. I've had some crappy comments about calling Hecate mother. And I'm not doing it to say she is my literal mother. I'm doing it because she is a mother goddess to us all, not just to me. And that's the archetype I see. But when people call me immature for that, when, I've had haters call me immature because I like Pokemon, for example, like that was a thing. That was a comment someone once said very publicly. If you know, you know, okay? But those sort of people who get on the defense, I feel like you have deep wounds yourself, that perhaps you are denying your inner child, perhaps you are trying to act more grown up than really you are. Seems to be a consensus, the lady doth protest too much, as they say, and that can be the way. It's like a theory on how a lot of homophobes, just as an example, are secretly closeted gays themselves, and I've known that firsthand with people in my life. I have known that. So it does tend to be a thing, all right? And we all have an inner child. And that inner child is as much a part of us as our higher self is, as our shadow is. It's a part of who we are as a self-actualized being, as a human. it's a big part of us, because our childhood years are formative for everyone. And even though we might not remember everything about our childhood, it sticks with us for life. And that's the one thing that none of us can change, because we didn't just pop into the world as an adult. We all had to grow up, and we all had to do things and experience things. So inner child healing is essentially a way of you becoming stronger, and especially for anyone carrying trauma. I did this for many years. A lot of it was subconscious with Hecate. Another reason I call her mother, I suppose, but it is not to say she is a replacement for my actual mother. It wasn't a projection in that way. She did help me through realising my deep insecurities that have stemmed from childhood things. There were things that have came up over the years that I forgot all about. Even just recently, it wasn't meant to be an inner child moment, but it was in a way. How certain male individuals in my life have projected insecurities onto me, like blame me for everything. Even as a kid, like I remember I was on holiday with grandparents and my auntie, uncle, stuff like this, like a big family holiday. My cousin spilled this drink everywhere, my younger cousin, but I got the blame. This was normally me. I always got the blame for things, even though it wasn't me. I got shouted at by my grandfather, and I forgot all about that, but that is clearly still stuck with me in my subconscious, in my inner child, and it can affect in many ways. As a child, I was painfully shy. I didn't have as much confidence. I didn't want to speak up. I didn't want to be outgoing. I would like more introverted things, like drawing, playing video games, things like I say, inner world stuff instead of outer world stuff. So there are things we all have within us that are really repressed and might not seem like a big deal. Like my granddad shouting at me, in the grand scheme of things, isn't that big of a bleeding deal as an adult. But it's deeply affected me in other ways of like, it's impacted self-confidence along with some other things. Of course, I'm not just blaming him. It's impacted how I coped and my interests, even. Like it's a domino effect. It's so deep and so formative as to who you are as an adult, that these things, you kind of have to address them if you want to be self-actualized and strong. You're going to address them one way or another, especially if you're on a spiritual path. It's not to say that you're going to be perfect. That's not the intention. The intention is to try and get yourself to a point that you aren't affected so much. Like for me, being in the public eye just today, I've at time of filming, I've uploaded a video about some nasty projections onto me. I get things projected onto me all the time. I had some little kid trolling me, telling me to go to the gym or whatever. All right, I'm overweight. I've been overweight my whole life. That at one point would have really got to me, right? They don't know me personally. You guys don't know me personally. I share what I choose to share. You don't know what my life is, my medical conditions, things like this in the background. I do though, but I don't have to tell you that. Old me would have wanted to shout back and whatever. No, just whatever. Because I was bullied as a kid over this, and I've gone through healing where I can be like, no, I'm comfortable as me, because you know what? No one's perfect. And to the person, it sounded like they were a kid, to be honest, but whether they're a kid or not, leaving that comment, they're obviously deeply insecure and get some sort of kick out of bringing other people down. And subconsciously, another YouTuber said this, and it stuck with me. When people try and bring you down, it means that they see you higher. You're on a higher level than them, and they want to bring you down to make themselves higher. So it's kind of a backhanded compliment in a way. So these things will happen in life. That's just an example that's happened to me literally today, so it's fresh in my mind. But it happens to us all. I mean, no matter your walk of life, not everyone's going to like you, not everyone's going to get along with you, and there's going to be times you're going to be in confrontations for whatever reason. And it's up to you how you react. So if you are unhealed and you have a lot of childhood wounds and your inner child is deeply insecure, you may react more out of emotion than someone who doesn't have as much of that. So if your inner child is still really, really hurting and someone says something that triggers an emotion of insecurity, you might literally run away. You might lash out. You might be angry. You might act immaturely. Inner child healing is for you. It's for you so you can then, in the future, like the way it is for me at least, is getting to a point where things don't affect me as much. So then I'm not living in this, fight or flight or whatever emotional response. And I can manifest good things. I can aim towards other things, expand my mind, expand my horizons in whatever way that is. So for me, it's spiritual, but for someone else, it could be like making some money, building a business, doing things you enjoy, having the confidence to go traveling, get out there, pursue a hobby, pursue art, whatever that may be, whatever it is to you as a person. So that's the importance of the inner child healing. And it is to know that, you are loved. And by the most important person that you can be loved is you. Because ultimately, we can have the best family in the world, we can have a loving partner, we can have all these things, we can have best friends, or we can not have that, yeah? But even if you have the ideal people around you, at the end of it all, you come into this world with yourself and you go out of it with yourself. And the only person that's going to be there for you 100% of the way, every single day of your life, is you. So if you can't look at yourself, and I know it's hard and I'm not trying to say it's easy and you can just do this, because even I can't, but if you can't at least say, I love myself, not in a vapid way, not in a narcissistic way, in a genuine, look, I accept myself, flaws and all, I love myself. If you can't do that, then ultimately, how can you build yourself up? How can you, manifest other things you want, no matter what they are, even if it is material things in a way? How can you give yourself a life of luxury in whatever that may be to you if you can't say you deserve it? And that's what this is all about. I hope this has made sense. So it's not about being, a vapid piece of crap. Absolutely not. It's about caring for yourself, because we are special in our own ways, and people don't seem to remember that. We are all unique. There's nobody quite like us in our own ways, and so we should cherish that and appreciate that. There'll never be another you as you are now. Appreciate that. There was something else I was going to say, but it's popped out my head, so it mustn't be that important if it's popped out my head, but I felt it was. Nope, but it's gone. Yeah, so on that note then, I'll end the video here. If you liked, please hit subscribe. Check out my channel for other tidbits of information. I talk all spiritual, occult, witchcraft, all sorts of stuff. And until next time, stay safe, stay witchy. Bye-bye.